Hi, I'm Asha Javid.
And I'm Anthony Wilson. Welcome to Business Edge. We are here today at the gas liquids facility of NiQuan on the Petrotrin compound in Pointe-a-Pierre.
NiQuan is a brainchild of Ainsley Gill, a former lobbyist turned chief executive. It's over a decade old. Petrotrin spent $400 million on this plant and then relegated to scrap iron. Gill managed to scoop it up for US $35 million.
Stay with us for that interview.
In the energy industry, the newest player in the market is NiQuan. They're a gas-to-liquid outfit which has taken over Petrotrin's abandoned plant. Here's a timeline of how we got here. In 2007, Petrotrin invested in such a plant with World GTL Trinidad Limited, entering a joint venture arrangement to construct one in Pointe-a-Pierre. However, after spending $2.6 billion, there was still no plant and the infrastructure was placed for sale. In December 2012, the People's Partnership government described the billion-dollar project as scrap metal. Petrotrin then appointed PricewaterhouseCoopers to procure a buyer for the plant, and an unknown company then, NiQuan, emerged as a preferred buyer. NiQuan wanted its company so bad that in 2013, it took Petrotrin to court for the rights to purchase it. Now, here's what we know about NiQuan. NiQuan consists of two entities, NiQuan Energy based in Washington and NiQuan Energy Trinidad Limited. The common denominator is the group chief executive and director of both companies, Ainsley Gill, who worked under the Patrick Manning government as a lobbyist in Washington. NiQuan's chairman is John P. Andrews. Its vice chair is former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Alison Lewis, and well-known businessman Nicholas Gold also sit on its board. Independent Senator David Small is listed in the companies as its group vice president, Global Energy Services. The inclusion of so many familiar names is only the start of why this transaction is raising so many eyebrows. According to NiQuan's website, in August 2015, it finalized a sale purchase agreement to acquire the GTL plant, which it said is 85% complete. So Petrotrin spent $400 million on this plant. A private company scooped it up for $35 million and intended to turn it around. Now, Energy Minister Franklin Kahn told Parliament that the project was worthy of government support. Here's how the government facilitated it. Petrotrin will only receive $10 million in cash, with balance in preferential shares in NiQuan. In turn, Petrotrin will buy diesel and naphtha from NiQuan. The government also set up a separate company, the Trinidad and Tobago Upstream Downstream Energy Operations Company Limited, to negotiate the gas arrangement for NiQuan. However, NiQuan has no track record. It expects to inject $120 million into the economy and $2 billion in taxes and statutory payments. The only information on its website is the proposed acquisition of this plant from Petrotrin and what it will actually do with it.
Good evening, Mr. Gill. Given the vast sum of money that the state-owned Petrotrin has spent on this project, there is a lot of public skepticism about GTL's involvement, NiQuan's involvement in this project. What do you say to those skeptics and those who are wary of NiQuan?
I say skepticism is very good. The past is the past. NiQuan represents the future. This process that NiQuan engaged was defined by PricewaterhouseCoopers. PricewaterhouseCoopers defined a very robust, transparent process. NiQuan engaged that process. We went through that process. We emerged as the preferred bidder, and subsequently we consummated the SPA. The SPA is Sales and Purchase Agreement. Consummation of that basically means that there were certain condition precedents that had to be satisfied both by NiQuan as well as the government. They were a proper due diligence on NiQuan as individuals, all of the owners, shareholders, and the executives. We had to bias financial capabilities, technical capabilities, in order to satisfy the receiver's requirement. So we believe that proper due diligence would have been applied in this particular initiative by PricewaterhouseCoopers, and NiQuan is here.
And are you satisfied that $35 million was an adequate price to pay for this facility?
Right. NiQuan, what we negotiated and what we got, at the end of the day, put the entire risk to complete this plant at NiQuan. We're going to be spending another $125 million to complete this plant.
And where is that money coming from?
That funding is coming from a number of places. Funding during a project like this comes from one or two sources. It's either debt or equity, and so you would have the early equity investors like myself and the rest of my shareholders. Thankfully, this project has a high local content and it's very rare. Republic Bank, our lead arranger and lender, is financing a great part of it.
How much is that? What is the quantum of debt for this project?
The debt is based on an 80-20 structure of about $125 million. 80% debt, 20%
so that's
equity.
about 100 million.
About $100 million, thereabouts.
At what interest rate? Over what period?
Look, normally these agreements are between the respective party. The tenor would be within market around 10 years. And, Trinidad does not necessarily have the best priced money. But we are committed to doing a local project, local content. The prices can range between 6 to 7.5%. So that priced around at this time.
How did you get to this point, going from a lobbyist to the CEO of NiQuan?
Well, people get from one place to the next. It's called your journey. Your journey is being a lobbyist. You would have to acquire particular skills. You would have to have particular capacity. But I'm not just a lobbyist. I'm actually, NiQuan Energy LLC has been established since 2008. I also have an IT company that I actually sold government contracts. So it's a complexity of my experience that brings me to being where I'm at. I would define myself as instinctive. I'm an instinctive entrepreneur. And instinctively, when I see an opportunity, when I saw this former WGTL plant, I instinctively see the opportunity to bring it into realization rather than to allow it as the alternative.
Why has it taken you so long to get to this point?
Well, I think it might be what you first indicated, skepticism, right? Due diligence had to apply itself. The process of due diligence was even more complicated by the change of administration, change of boards and executive, and I believe each one that came through that process wanted to do their own due diligence. So I believe it took the time that was necessary for the process to mature itself so that NiQuan could be selected.
But even before we got to this point, NiQuan's website spoke about their facility based in Pointe-a-Pierre. So there was always an expectation that this project would be NiQuan's project.
Well, you can call me the paternal optimist in the early stage of this project, but when we became the preferred bidder, it was in 2012, and that process matured itself throughout. We signed the sale and purchase agreement in May of 2016. We've been managing this site since 2016. We've been on site. We've site lease actually here, maintaining asset preservation.
What is your track record though for this kind of facility?
Track record.
Well, managing a GTL plant.
Was NiQuan's track record?
Yeah.
NiQuan's track record is a track record of its employees. Our employees, those that we've recruited for this, are GTL. That's what they've been doing. But interestingly, you're talking about track record. Trinidad and Tobago is always indicating, why aren't we looking at our own locals? All the capacity that you're looking for is right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We export this, and so we have defined and been able to qualify a lot of the capacities here. Our plant manager, Roger Moore, was the plant manager of Phoenix Park. He actually went overseas. He's back here, so he's our plant manager. When you look at the capacity exists here. This plant has a front end. It's a methanol plant, basically. So all of the capacity, all the knowledge base is right here. NiQuan is capitalizing on that capacity. We've recruited the best for it. And what we don't have here, we complemented externally. And so we've engaged Black & Veatch as the EPC contractor to help oversee. When you look from a local content point of view, when I first came in, I had a number of energy ministers. We actually had a 40% local content with a 60% external. And I was challenged to change that number. Now we're about 90% local content and about 10% external in support of.
Mr. Gill, where is the natural gas for the project going to come from, and what price are you paying for it?
The natural gas is coming from the Trinidad and Tobago upstream downstream energy company. It's a new company that was formed, established by the government.
Especially for NiQuan?
I don't believe so. I believe if you would have referred back to the minister's statement in Parliament, NiQuan will be one of the companies, but the mandate was not for, especially for NiQuan. It wasn't a special purpose company to facilitate NiQuan. I believe the mandate is much better. So the government, somebody had to be the first. Our project, and timing-wise, I believe, created the opportunity.
And the price?
As you know, those things are pretty much confidential.
Is it a fixed price? Is it a price that depends on the market? Is it formula is probably more important than price?
It is market driven. It's market price. It's not subsidized.
Are you guaranteed gas, and are there any damages written into your contract for non-supply?
The contract and the tenets of that contract is normally confidential, and I wouldn't want to breach that confidentiality.
And about the products that NiQuan is going to be producing, most of it is going to be diesel. In the Trinidad and Tobago context, diesel is the lowest quality fuel. How are you going to make money from this project? Basically, is the question.
NiQuan's product is a value-added product. We're a premium product. Diesel in and by itself, by its nature and characteristics, equal dirty. NiQuan GTL fuel equals clean. It's zero sulfur, zero aromatics. We're clean. Diesel here, unfortunately, being refined from crude oil, it's inherent in its qualities. We're the antithesis of that. We're entirely different. How we make, we're value added to Petrotrin. Petrotrin need to market their product. Value added proposition as a blend stock for Petrotrin in order to meet export markets. Can it be utilized locally? Yes, but it would have to be indexed to an index, Gulf Coast Platts, for it to be economically viable.
What kind of time frame you're looking for this project to be operationalized?
18 to 24 months.
Okay.
And did you have to satisfy your bankers about the, bankability of the project?
That's the critical factor right there. The art of this project is to take the entire project and make it capital risk. This project is a full 100% commercial project. So what does that really mean? Every particular risk aspect of this project is transferred to a credit paper. Whether it's construction risk, whether it's technology risk, whether it's operational risk, whether it's foreign exchange risk, every aspect of it has been converted to a credit paper.
I'm curious as to how you managed to get this board together. Alison Lewis, Senator David Small. Can you tell me about how you managed to recruit these people for your board?
When you hear those names, Alison Lewis, John Andrews, David Small, Nicholas Galt, Larry Felix, materially, those names are synonymous with integrity. They're sons and daughters of the soil. They mean something to me, and it means something to who NiQuan is. NiQuan is not just clean energy from a product. We're really absolutely clean energy, and we're demonstrating we know how to do things. Recruited them individually. It wasn't a simple recruitment. They had to due diligence me and my passion, and they had to validate that. Upon their own determination, they made a decision. This is something they wanted to do. They believed in the project, and they became just as passionate as I am. And I'm thankful for their stewardship and their mentorship that they've provided and continue to provide. And I think really, the end of the day, the signal that really sends is that this project materially is locally owned, locally managed.
And you mentioned Petrotrin a few minutes ago. Do you have a contract with Petrotrin to buy your diesel products?
Yes, we do. We have a contract with Petrotrin. Petrotrin is the off-taker of our products.
100%?
100%, yes.
So do you have any influence in deciding what Petrotrin does with the resulting product from GTL to the diesel and the resulting product?
Yeah, what we have is an agreement with a lot of details in that agreement that provides for how that diesel get marketed. That relationship is a robust relationship that's articulated in our agreement. And so we will work together to maximize the value for the product.
And one last question. Why would you make this project successful and Petrotrin couldn't?
The reason why we would make this project successful is because our team, we have an entirely different approach. I'm not sure if Petrotrin, you say didn't, I don't think Petrotrin, they just didn't finish it. But NiQuan, our technology is proven, we're fully bankable, we're committed, we're here, it's locally owned.
That concludes our discussion for today. Stay with us for our first Citizens Financial Tip.
Welcome, I am Cindy Gultran, Manager of External Sales, and I'm joined by Sherilyn LaRoche, Manager of the East, Central and Tobago branches. Purchasing a home is one of the largest investment decisions one can make. Today, we're going to explore the mortgage process. So Sherilyn, can you tell us a little about mortgages and about the different types of mortgages there are?
Sure. A mortgage is simply a loan secured by property. There are essentially three main types of mortgages. You have the acquisition mortgage, that is for the purchase of a property. And when we speak about property, we're speaking about land only, as well as house and land. Then there's the equity mortgage, using the value of the property, and that is to fund your goals, which include debt consolidation, home renovations, investments, education, as well as medical bills. And it also includes the purchase of items like a vehicle. Then you have the bridging loan. The bridging loan is a short-term loan for the construction of a property. And once the property is completed, the bridging is converted to a long-term mortgage.
Thank you very much, Sherilyn. That's very informative information. Can you now expand a little on some of the items and share some tips for our clients who are potentially interested in a mortgage loan?
Yes, sure. I will say come in, call us, let's do a financial assessment on you so that you can have an idea of what you can afford. You should also pay attention to your credit rating because that can impact your interest rate. You should also have a down payment, a savings plan, so that you can have funds for your down payment, you have funds for your financing costs as well as the legal fees. And most importantly, ask a lot of questions. Ask us, ask the valuator, ask your contractors, ask the vendor, the seller of your property, so that you'll have a fair idea of what you're getting into.
Thank you, Sherilyn. Remember, we can pre-qualify you in person or on the phone in order to ascertain what value of property that you could afford. Please come in or visit any of our 25 conveniently located branches, email us at loans@firstcitizenstt.com or visit any of our external sales officers listed on our website. Thank you for viewing and see you soon.
Thanks for staying with us. Anthony, what do you think about the plan so far?
Very impressive. I'm surprised by the size of it. There were a couple things in the interview that surprised me as well. The cost, the additional cost that NiQuan will have to put out to finish it, 125 million. Also the amount of debt that's going into it, 80% of that, which is about 100 million US dollars. And thirdly, it's surprising that there are financial institutions in this country who are willing to put 10-year money behind a plant like this.
Do you think this plant is actually going to get off the ground?
I think it will. Clearly, Mr. Gill is a very determined person and he's driving it very hard and it will get off the ground.
My concern is just why Petrotrin didn't make this plant a success and why does a private individual have to come in and step in at this point to actually turn it around?
In a sense, you're asking answers because Petrotrin is a state enterprise, large, maybe unwieldy. Therein lies the answer.
Okay, and that's tonight's discussion. We hope it provided a lot of insight for you. It certainly did for us.
Thanks to the crew at NiQuan for accommodating us.
And if you missed tonight's episode, you could catch it at www.tv6tnt.com/businessedge. So have a great night.
Good night.